Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Just to let you know that the webinar will be starting in approximately 5 minutes from now. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you all for logging on to the Sikh Research Institute webinar today. My name is Jagdeep Singh and I'll be the technical host for today's session, and Narendra Pal Singh will be the moderator. Narendra Singh will begin the presentation shortly, but before he starts, I'll take a few moments to run through some information to help ensure this session runs smoothly for all of us. Narendra Pal Singh will then provide some information about the Sikh Research Institute and Narendra Singh before passing over to Narendra Singh for the presentation. Firstly, just to provide some orientation of the main screen you're looking at now, Narendra Singh's presentation will be displayed on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll be able to see each slide as you scroll through, although you won't be able to navigate through the slides independently. On the right-hand side of the screen, you should see a number of smaller panes. But if you can't see any right now, then please click on the Panels drop-down menu, which is towards the top right-hand of the screen, and select the Reset to Default option. You should now be able to see our participant panel and the chat panel. During this session, if you wish to ask Narendra Singh questions, you can do so by entering your question in the chat panel, which should be beneath the participant panel, and send it to Narendra Pal Singh. Alongside your question, please include your full name, your city, and whether or not you have a microphone attached to your computer. Narendra Pal Singh will moderate the questions as applicable and forward them to Narendra Singh. If you have a microphone, Narendra Singh will invite you to come and ask your question. If you do not, Narendra Singh will read your question out to all participants. In order to keep the session interactive, we do recommend you have a microphone installed. Please note, if you have a microphone that's integrated into your laptop or your desktop, then you will have to press the control button while you speak. At the end of the main presentation, there will be a general Q&A session. Again, if you'd like to ask questions during this time, then please forward them to Narendra Pal Singh using the chat panel, and you will be invited by Narendra Singh to ask your question. Again, please provide your name, city, and indication of mic in your message. If for any reason you experience any technical difficulties during the session, and you can't see the main presentation, for example, then please do not hesitate to contact me via the chat panel. If you lose your internet connection, or if you have to restart your computer during the session, then you can rejoin by clicking on the URL that was included in your original registration confirmation email. Finally, at the end of the presentation, I will launch a testimonial and feedback window, and would appreciate if you could take a few moments to provide your feedback and comments on how this session went and on how we can improve future sessions. I'll now hand you over to Narendra Pal Singh, who will provide some background to the Institute and also introduce Narendra Singh. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Narendra Pal Singh, and I will be the moderator for today's session. We are delighted to have you with us. Let me share a bit about Sikh Research Institute, or SikhRI, with you. Over the last 7 years, SikhRI focused on community development through programs, leadership programs, developing visionaries that trained 3,000 worldwide, educational seminars stopping misinformation has reached out to 300,000 globally, K-12 services teaching values and language skills served 41 schools, 500 teachers, and 1,700 students. We ask for your financial support to continue this work, so please donate by visiting us on the website at www.sikhri.org. Thank you. Let us begin our session. Your instructor today will be Harindar Singh. Harindar Singh works at the Sikh Research Institute, where he is imparting education as a fulcrum for social change. He's an interdisciplinary researcher and a global orator. He has Masters of Philosophy in Linguistics of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, the Sikh scriptural canon. His passion is to learn, share, and interpret the Sikh culture. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. This is Harinder. Can everyone hear me okay? If I can get a couple of prompts on it, that'll be good. Okay, sounds good. Thank you for joining today's session. Generally, it's actually a chilly San Antonio, and when I'm saying chilly today, I don't mean hot in terms of spiciness. It's really cold here. Some of you might not know, but San Antonio rarely gets this cold, and so we really had a lot of cups of coffee today and tea to do the webinar. But we're delighted that you're here. This is not a regular presentation in a sense. It's not a standalone presentation. I'm going to try to, at a halfway point today, try to run it like a class. Maybe we'll do some, I'm going to be asking Jagdeep to unmute all of you halfway through, and then maybe we might talk about some of the pronunciations, maybe even do some part together, and then on each part we would like to have some discussion as well. In order to have the discussion, though, I would like to cover some of the background, and essentially we'll cover, a little bit about what we know about the Bani, the historical context of it, what do we know about its contributors, Satta and Balwand, and also a little bit about the language and grammatical aspects. So that will probably go for next, 40 minutes or so. After that, we'll get into the Bani itself, and we'll cover 3 bodies today of the 8 total bodies. And since one of the reasons we picked this Bani is it's historically this is very important, and which is what we'll establish in next 3-4 slides. But more importantly, this actually used to be it was quite traditional to sing this var as part of the extra Nitnem Banis, I'll call it. There is a minimum requirement of Nitnem. A lot of Sikhs traditionally used to sing this var. And maybe we can, there are some legends attached to that. There are some traditional stories attached to that. We'll talk about that a bit as well. But more importantly, this is one var which is written by the court poets, which talks about the Guru personalities. So, a lot of the time we have questions regarding what really was happening at the time of the Guru, who was really given the Guruship, is there an authentic source for these things? So this is as authentic as it gets, that the evidence is available to us in Guru Granth Sahib. So this makes this Bani quite important. Okay. To start off, here is a quote by Professor Puran Singh, and he says, Guru Nanak never identifies his clay embodying the Guru as Guru. While still in the body, he breathes the Guru into the clay of Angad and calls him Guru Nanak. He puts the Gurmukh in the center, a man of flesh and bones, living just like others, and lets a stream of illumination pour into them from Prabhu Des, the land of the Lord. The pure spirit thus grows pure, and God is ever in the process of self-transcendence. Now, this is an incredible quote. This is very interpretive of Puran Singh. He's essentially saying that Guru Nanak as an individual matters, but what matters more is Guru Nanak, the wisdom, and how he's transferring that wisdom. And while he's alive, living, he's transferring this knowledge base, this awareness base, this divine sovereignty within him, and anything which we will classify as Guru, something which brings awareness, dispeller of darkness. And this is how the realization of God, or if you want to feel the presence of Vaheguru, or this is the Pritam Ka Des, as Gurbani might say, this is how you get to the house of the Guru, or the house of the master of this universe, which is by bringing this kind of spirit within you. And Puran Singh is saying Guru Nanak did this for Pailana, and that's how he became Guru Angad. And these potentialities exist for us. That's my interpretation in there. So this idea of how do you see God, how do you feel God, well, he says Guru Nanak was able to do that within him, and then he was able to do that for Guru Angad. And that's the starting point of our presentation today. So let's talk a little bit about the background of the Bani. Well, the title of the Bani is, we're calling it Ramkali Ki Var, but this is exactly how it says. The picture on the right is the picture from Guru Granth Sahib's today's Sarup. And if you look at the first part, its first thing written is, if you look at the picture, it says Ramkali Ki Var, Rai Balwand Tatha Satta Doom Aki. And then it says Eko Ankar Sat Gur Prasad. We have the order reversed a little bit, but anyway, we'll focus on what's written there. So first thing we know is that Eko Ankar, let's go to Ramkali. Ramkali is the name of a rag. Var is what generally in Sikh circles in English we end up using the word ode or ballad. we'll stick to the ballad. We had some discussion about what is more appropriate. Actually, nothing is more appropriate than the word war itself. But when we are describing within the poetic cultures the equivalent in the Western world, then you can say it's a heroic ballad. In our case, the ballad is of the divine. In this case, the ballad is of the Guru. Generally, the ballads are written of the folk heroes or the legendary folks. Rai, Balwand, Tatha Satya Doom Akhi. Rai is a title, Balwand is a name, Tatha means and, Satta is a name, and Doom is, we'll talk about what Doom is, but this is what Bard, literal translation is Bard. Akhi is who said this. So basically, this is the title of the Bani given to us. And right after that, in Guru Granth Sahib, it says, Eko Ankar Sat Gur Prasad. And we are not going to spend too much time on that. You can see the translation, but the idea is this is what's called one of the short forms of the Mangalacharan in Gurbani. And Mangalacharan generally refers to Eko Ankar through Gur Prasad. Sometimes you might hear the words in English like it's a root verse or it's a Mool Mantar, whatever you want to call it. And the tradition maintains it's a Mool Mantar. And in Guru Granth Sahib, there are 4 forms of that which show up. The longest comes as Eko Ankar through Gur Prasad. Then there are some which are Eko Ankar Satnam Karta Puro Gur Prasad, Eko Ankar Satnam Karta Gur Prasad, and the shortest form you will see is Eko Ankar Sat Gur Prasad. I know generally people are used to seeing this as being Eko Ankar Sat Gur Prasad, but if you follow the logic I was explaining, actually Eko Ankar and Sat are the parts which are everywhere. Gur Prasad is the last part, and in between you have several words in the longer form, which is Eko Ankar, Satnam, Karta Purukh, Nirpau, Nirvair, Akal Murat, Ajuni, Sabang, Gur Prasad. So what that means is Eko Ankar and Sat is referring to Vaheguru, and Gur Prasad is referring to that through the Guru we understand the divine. Okay, so that's a little bit about how the Bani starts within the Guru Granth Sahib. So we have heard in the previous slide, we established that title says it's Satta and Balwand. We need to spend a little bit of time understanding who they are. But before that, let's spend a little bit of time on the rag itself. It's in Rag Ramkali. And the tradition maintains that Rag Ramkali is a first Pahar Rag, which is, again, 3 to 6 is one school of thought, second school of thought says it's 4 to 7 a.m. I generally stick to the idea that it's the first Pahar, or the, as Bhai Gurdas says, Pichhal Rati, the time which is after the night. So if you really want to have a window, it becomes 3 to 7 a.m. Rag. It is available in Guru Granth Sahib in the pages 966 through 68. Its genre, its poetic genre is a war. Now war, traditionally in Punjabi culture, is describing something where, well, literally it means strike. Yeah, it has actually multiple meanings, but one of the famous, more popular meanings is strike. War is traditionally written about people who are legendary or folk heroes. Within Guru Granth Sahib, there are 22 wars. In some wars, well, actually 20 out of 22 wars have sloks with them. 2 of the wars don't. And this war is one of those wars which has no sloks. So anyway, war is a collection of paudis. Paudi is a poetic meter, which we'll just stick to the word stanza if you want to describe it. Slok generally is a couplet. It could be 1 line or 15 lines in Guru Granth Sahib. But in this composition, in Ramkali Ki War, it is only paudis. There are no sloks. So the question of, since there are no sloks, we don't have to worry about who wrote those sloks. All the paudis are written by either Satta or Balwand, and that's the explanation on it. Language is, we'll say it's common Punjabi. What do I describe? I'm getting a message from one of the attendees that he or she is not able to log in. So give me 1 second. I'm going to send that to one of the organizers. And Jagdeep, sorry for interfering, but if you can access this person, they're trying to log in and they're sending me a text on it. Okay, sorry about that. coming back to where we were, which is that what is the language of it? So I'm saying it's common Punjabi. Now, what do I mean by common Punjabi? Well, technically there are various words available to us when we study from a grammatical and language angles, which some people say Khadi Boli, some people say Old Punjabi, some will say it's Sadhu Pasha. What we're going to say for now is that it's common Punjabi. Common meaning the language which was being spoken at the time in Punjab in 1500s, in mid-1500s. So this is not a Sanskrit-based language. This is not an Arabic-based language. This is the new modern language which was starting out all over South Asia. Regions were starting their own languages. And in Punjab, the Punjabi had started actually in 11th century. So this is quite developed Punjabi, a common Punjabi which was being spoken and used in the region, both sides of Punjab as we see today. Okay, so that's the language aspect of it. Now, let's spend some time on Satta and Balwand, or Balwand and Satta. So a question might be, who are they? Well, first of all, when I'm discussing this slide, there really aren't too many, this and the next slide. We really don't have 100% proof of exactly who they are, when they existed. There are different schools of thoughts on them. There are, we'll give you some of those schools of thought, and we'll try to give you some indication of what is making the most sense. And again, because this is historical and we don't have the information itself within Guru Granth Sahib, we'll have to go outside the Guru Granth Sahib to establish some of this. It does not change the theme of the Bani. It does not change the ideas within the Bani. This only is to figure out a little bit about the background of individuals who uttered this Bani or who sang this Bani. So the two possibilities mentioned in various books, which range from what does Professor Sahib Singh think, what does Bhai Veer Singh think, what does, I'm forgetting one of the guys' name, the writer of Gurpur Prakash, I think his name is Baba Prem Singh, Mahakavi Santokh Singh, three people who did the work on Shabdarth. They have their own point of view. So we've looked at most of those, all of these, the sources I mentioned, and I'm sure there are more. And there doesn't seem to be consistency, but we do have some indication as to who they are. So the possibilities are either they're brothers or they're father and son. The other thing is, and I'll talk about it a little bit more in the next slide, is but what we do know for some surety is with the word Rai and Doom, what do they mean? So Rai is a title given by Guru Arjan Sahib to Balwand. This is what almost all sources agree with this. Rai literally means king. Guru Arjan Sahib, and we'll talk about the context a little bit more. But basically, even if you have seen the post-British period, the titles like Rai Bahadur or Sir or Singh, Siri Singh or Siri Singh Sahib these days, these titles are given to prominent personalities for a variety of reasons. So Guru Arjan Sahib's time, Balwand gets the title of Rai. The Doom word is same as the word Mirasi in Punjab, but Doom is actually a subcaste. It's a low caste among Hindus and Muslims. And I know it sounds oxymoronish to say among Muslims as well, but as you guys all know, that in South Asia, funny things happen, that even all the non-Hindus also have caste because they're converts. And that kind of identity sticks, and we know that this is a reality among Sikhs as well. There's a reality among Christians in India. So if you're thinking Muslims and caste, well, funny things happen in South Asia. So that's the answer. Mirasi is another word which is used for the dooms. It also it means that somebody, Miras is a heritage, Mirasi is the one who explains the heritage. So sometimes the profession of the dooms has become the Mirasis. So basically, dooms were the ones which is describing their background in terms of the caste hierarchy. Mirasi is their profession as to what they did. This is similar to when we hear the word parts in Guru Granth Sahib or outside Guru Granth Sahib. Mirasis are similar to parts. Mirasis are coming more from maybe a mix of Hindu and Muslim in confluence or just a Muslim confluence, whereas parts definitely were either Saraswat Brahmins or higher caste people. Okay, so Rai and Doom, what we know from that subtitle is that Rai is a title which Guru Arjan Sahib gave as an honorary title to Balwand, and Doom tells us that they were of the background from a lower caste, lower strata of the community, but their job was to explain the heritage in poetic meters. So that's what we know from this part. This next part is where it gets a little bit tricky, and we'll have some versions of Sakhis, and if anyone else has some version, I'm sure you have heard a few things about what really happened with them. Feel free to share that. Just let the moderator know, and they'll turn your mic on. Well, let me describe a little bit what this slide is saying. So we have picked 4 people to focus on. Bhai Santokh Singh is the person who is also known as Mahakavi Santokh Singh. He is the person who has written the most elaborate poetic history in multiple volumes of the Sikhs. Max Arthur Macauliffe is the guy who took I would say he's the first guy who has written a comprehensive oral history of the Sikhs, or the folk history of the Sikhs, about 100 years ago. Shabdarth was a team of 3 individuals who worked on taking what's in Guru Granth Sahib as a ladivar and then created Padched, or a separated words, in the 4 volumes about 80 years ago. And Gyani Sahib Singh is the one who has done a monumental reference work called Guru Granth Darpan, and within that he writes commentaries and details from various angles, including historical and grammar. So those are the 4 people we picked. There are many more who have written about this stuff, but those are the 4 we are focusing on. I have personally gone through the accounts of what Bhai Veer Singh has written on this, and what Baba Prem Singh, and the author of Gurpur Prakash, has written on it. Okay, so first thing is, when do Satta and Balwand existed? What is their time period? So there is huge disagreement on it. As you can see from this, of the 4 sources we are sharing, 2 say they existed at the time of Guru Angad Sahib, and the other 2 are saying they existed at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. So, well, that's a huge discrepancy. How do you establish? Well, first thing is, does it really matter? What are they really covering? They're covering the writings about Guru Nanak Sahib through Guru Arjan Sahib, roughly. No, it doesn't matter, but it does matter from the angle of, the language angle, the angle of historically establishing when they really visited the court of the Guru. The reason I'm going to say it's Guru Arjan Sahib is because, number 1, almost every version of Sakhi available, which is the second part here, that they had some disagreement with the Guru, they left the court of the Guru, that version is all in the Guru Arjan's period. So it makes me think that this is actually at the time of Guru Arjan, they were at the Guru's court. The other reason we can say that is, when there was a conflict with the Guru didn't have a conflict with them, they did, and the person who solved that conflict, that person's name is Bhai Ladda. Now, Bhai Ladda, the secondary source available to Sikhs is Bhai Gurdas. According to Bhai Gurdas, when he is giving the details on, Bhai Gurdas has given details on the Sangats and the prominent Sikhs at the time of each Guru in his wars. So, for example, he'll have who are the prominent Sangats and the Sikhs at the time of Guru Nanak, time of Guru Angad, Guru Amar Das, Guru Ram Das, and Guru Arjan Sahib. So when he mentions Bhai Ladda, Bhai Gurdas that is, Bhai Ladda is mentioned as a prominent Sikh at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. So what makes most sense, given all the different theories and ideas, is that it most probably happened at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. A little bit about now the different versions of the different Sakhis as to what was the relationship they had with the Guru. Now the second row there says resentment. Now how do I explain this resentment part? Well, the most common version of the Sakhi is this, that Satta and Balwand are very established Kirtaniyas. Again, there are different schools of thought on who did they belong to. Were they descendants of Mardana, for example, because some people say Satta and Balwand were Rababis. Well, interesting thing is that Pai Lal, who is a living descendant in Lahore, he was asked once who is he a descendant of, because most people assume he's a descendant of Pai Mardana the Rababi. His personal testimony is that he actually is a descendant of Satta Balwand. So Satta Balwand then makes it a Rababi school rather than a Mirasi school, but it all gets very confusing. I think what I'm essentially trying to say here is only thing we can say from surety is that he existed at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. They were doing Kirtan. And this Kirtan part, that they were very good at Kirtan, is corroborated by everyone. They were doing Kirtan in the court of Guru Arjan Sahib, and there was a need for some money. They wanted to get their daughter married, and they asked Guru if they can have the offerings from the Vaisakhi day, hoping that all the offerings there will be more offerings on the Vaisakhi day. And, I'm again sharing one version with you guys. And what happened that day was it was really rainy day and not enough Sangat showed up, so the money was very little. Both of them got very upset and they wanted more money, and Guru told them, don't operate like that, whatever you need I'll take care of and make, but again, the point is that they didn't listen to the Guru and they became egoistic about it. They became that their worth is much more and they must, that's why, be paid more. And they refused to come next day to the Guru's court to do Kirtan. And at that time, oral tradition maintains, Guru Arjan Sahib said, कि हुण सारे सिखां नूं रागी बनना चाहिए, राग विद्या शुरू कर दो. Point being that every Sikh should become a ragi. So they said, the word ragi gets used traditionally at that point, which means you don't have to be necessarily a rababi. You can just be a ragi as long as you sing in a styles mentioned in Guru Granth Sahib. Now that's the most common version. There are other things which other writers have attached to it. Well, it wasn't just about this. They also had worked with Chandu, and some say Prithi Chand, who is the elder brother of Guru Arjan, to excite them up to go against the Guru. But regardless, something happened where they wanted more money for their service and they didn't get it. They left the court of the Guru, and eventually what happens is that they're not able to sustain themselves. They're not able to make money by singing their best talents possibly they have. So their talent was not valued. And this is a theme you'll see in the history of the Gurus, that you'll have ideas and descriptions of various Sikhs that once they go away from the Guru, for any reason, when they are not Guru wale, as the word is used, jadon Guru wale nahi rehde, fir sangat bhi unna da saath nahi dendi. Or not only they end up, they think they will survive beautifully or make more money or have more fame, but if they are not Guru wale, they lose everything, their talent, their fame, and financial securities and other things as well. So jada Guru da nahi hai, wo kise da nahi hai. This is how Punjabi which it's said. So what happens then is, this is the part where the Sakhi gets a little bit more tricky, and I do want to discuss this a bit. Where it gets tricky is that for some reason Guru gets upset at them. Now, these are my words, and some of the authors I've read, their versions also are much more crude than that, and I really don't understand that Guru ever gets upset at anyone. But that's me. Maybe I don't understand that. The best version I have liked, which I would like to read it to you, is actually Pai Veer Singh's. And let me be very clear here that this is the part where I don't fully understand what really happened. So when they are upset at the Guru, they say certain things. And what is it exactly they say? Well, different writers have written in a different way, but Pai Veer Singh is, and this part is in Punjabi, so you'll have to excuse me if you don't understand Punjabi and follow along a little bit. But ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ words ਨੇ ਨਾ, they are probably the most sensitive and most creative. बड़े सुंदर शब्द वरते ने उन्होंने. And let me read that a bit. Sri Guru Ji ने प्यार नाल कहा, which is Guru Arjan Sahib is saying this to Satta and Balwant. हे शब्द दे सेवकों, तुसी क्यों गुस्से हो गए? दीवान विच आज सन्मुख दीदारे क्यों नहीं किते? की कुछ पदारथ पिछे रंज कीता है? पदारथ आउण जाण वाली शह है. जिन्ना मिलिया है इस नाल कारज करो. होर लोड़ा पैणियां हन, फिर होर आवेगा, होर मिलेगा. ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਟੁਰਦਾ ਗੇੜ ਹੈ. ਅੱਗੋਂ ਗੁੱਸੇ ਭਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ, ਸਾਨੂੰ 100 ਰੁਪਇਆ ਲੱਜ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ. ਨਿਤ ਤੇਰੇ ਖਜ਼ਾਨੇ ਸੁਣੀਦੇ ਸਨ, ਡਿੱਠਾ ਤਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ, ਭਾਂਡੇ ਹੀ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਰਹੇ. ਲੱਖਾਂ ਆਏ ਤੇ ਗਏ, ਟਿਕਿਆ ਕੱਖ ਨਾ. ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦਾ ਖਜ਼ਾਨਾ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਕੋਠੇ ਦੱਬਿਆ ਹੈ? ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਿਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਥੇ ਡੇਰਾ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਕਿਸੇ ਕਦਰ ਵਾਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਨਾ ਸੁਣਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਟੋਰਾਂਗੇ. ਜਿੰਨਾ ਚਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, ਆਪਣੀ ਵਿੱਦਿਆ ਦਾ ਨਾਸ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ. Now this is incredible, because what he's describing is, for the benefit of those who don't understand Punjabi, that Paivir Singh's vocabulary is pretty good. He's not saying that Guru is upset or anything. He's saying, Guru Sahib is saying, how come you didn't come today? And let's come in the morning. Let's do the kirtan. Don't worry about these monetary things. They go up and down. But the other guys, both of them say, well, we hear Guru has a lot of money. You have a big treasure house. Where is that treasure house? We are wasting our knowledge here. We are wasting our talent here. And then they continue. ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਚੇਤਾ ਵਿਸਰ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ, ਵਰਿਆਂ ਬੱਦੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸਨੇ ਜਾਤਾ ਸੀ, ਜਦ ਮਰਦਾਨੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਪ੍ਰਗਟੇ. ਦੇਖਦੇ ਜੇ ਮਗਰੋਂ ਲੈਣਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ, ਖੱਤਰੀ ਦਾ ਖਤਰੇਟਾ ਤਾਰਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ. ਪਰ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰਤਾਪ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੁੱਲ ਦੇ ਗੁਣੀ ਰਬਾਬੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਹੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਲਹਿਣਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਉਸੇ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਦੇ ਪਹੁੰਚ ਗਿਆ ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੇ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਵਾਂਝੇ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪਿਤਾ ਪਿਤਾਮਾ ਦੀ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਰਬਾਬੀ ਬਣਾਉਂਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਅਸਾਂ ਬਣਾਇਆ. ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੱਜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ, ਹੋਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਬਣਾਵਾਂਗੇ, ਉਸ ਦਾ ਜਸ ਗਾਵਾਂਗੇ. Now this is very interesting, and I think I can sort of relate to it. When you're upset, when somebody is angry, obviously they think nothing is possible without them. They are the best thing on the earth. And this is how Satta Balwant are operating. They're saying, we made the Gurus. Otherwise, there was Guru Nanak's son who was sitting there. They could have taken over. It was the way we presented Guru Angad that he was accepted as the Guru. Otherwise, there were the Khatri sons who were sitting there, the other Khatris, implying Guru Nanak's son. And they say, because we know how to present the individual, how to build the individual, we can go make others Guru. Now, and the last part I want to read is, ਇਹ ਵਾਕ ਸੁਣ ਕੇ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਅਪਮਾਨ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਖਿਮਾ ਰੂਪ ਰਹੇ, ਪਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਤੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਅੰਗਦ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਐਡੀ ਡਾਢੀ ਚੁਭਵੀਂ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਅਨੰਨ ਭਗਤੀ ਦੀ ਮਰਿਆਦਾ ਦੇ ਉਲਟ ਦਸੀ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਵਾਕ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਟੁਰ ਆਏ, ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਫਿੱਟ ਗਏ ਹਨ. So the oral tradition, and this is the best I could find, everything else was much more crude than this. Oral tradition is maintaining that Guru Arjan Sahib remained calmed, but when Satta Balwant went after Guru Nanak and Guru Angad, that Guru Nanak and Guru Angad's status and grandeur and his publicity and fame, establishment is because of them, Guru Arjan Sahib says, "Ye ta fit gaye han." Fit gaye han, in Punjabi it can be interpreted various ways, but essentially, ajkal aapa kehne fitte muh ya fitkare jana, which means you guys have just gone out of tune and nobody's going to give you any space. So anyway, Guruji, the last part is, ਪਰ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸਹਿਜ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਹਾ, ਆਓ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਕਰੀਏ. ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਰਬਾਬ ਸਰੰਦਾ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਹਾ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਤੇ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੀ ਆਗਿਆ ਕੀਤੀ. ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸੁਲਤਾਨ ਦਾ ਸੁੱਧ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਦੈਵੀ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਹੋ ਪਿਆ. ਤਦ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਵਰਦਾਨ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਾਗ ਵਿਦਿਆ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਤੇ ਰਾਗੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੰਪਰਦਾ ਟੋਰੀ. So the point is, this is where not having, it's great to have great kirtaniyas and ragis and rababis, but according to this Sakhi, the motive I want to take out, a lesson to take out is that this was the time Guru Arjan Sahib decided that every Sikh needs to learn rag vidya, and we don't need to be dependent on the performers per se. And I'm using the word performer here intentionally because this is how Satta and Balwant had gotten to that level. Okay, so I know I've spent a lot of time on this, but I wanted to do it for a couple of reasons. One is that Satta Balwand are very good at what they do. And in our capacities as individuals, as Sikhs, as learners, we might be very good at what we do. But if that goodness takes us and makes us too proud of who I am, then it becomes a destructive force as well. And this has happened in the case of Satta Balwand. The recovery of Satta Balwand is Pai Ladda. So again, the popular version of Sakhi is that it was understood by the Sikhs that nobody will help these guys because these are Guru-less or they are Guru Nindaks. They are the ones who are against the Guru. And unna muh kala hai, basically saying that anyone who will help them, this is a very cultural thing, and this has happened even in last century to Sant Teja Singh when he had gone back to his village, that if you want to embarrass somebody, they used to blacken their face and put him on a donkey, and they used to go around the city. So the understanding among the Sikh Sanghas at the time was anyone who associates with Satta Balwand, they will have to sit on a donkey with their black face. Kala muh karke khote hote na to reh jauga. So, Satta Balwand were living their life. Nobody was really listening to them. They were not able to establish parallel gurus. They were not able to make enough money. And they heard that there is a great Sikh named Pai Ladda, and they went to Pai Ladda for his help. So Pai Ladda helped them. And the way he helped them is he himself blackened his face, sat on a donkey, and went to Guru Arjan Sahib, implying that the great Sikhs are already living with the consequences. They're not worried about what will happen to them. They're worried about, or they're more focused on what needs to get done and helping everyone. Paropkar is the word used in traditional Sakhi. Paropkari is the one who does good for the world. So obviously Guru Arjan Sahib accepts Pai Ladda and brings Satta Balwand back to allows them, forgives them. And larger part of the Sikh tradition maintains that Ramkali ki War, as we see today, is the one which they sang when they came back to the house of the Guru. Which makes sense to me because all these Sakhis, what's in Ramkali ki War does not describe what I've just been talking about for the last 10 minutes. This is the background to how they come back to the house of the Guru. How it says in when we do Rahras as a nickname, there's a Rahao line just before Chaupadi Sahib started, where it says, Har visrat tere gun galya. In forgetfulness, even the attributes, even the strengths, even the talents and skills we have, they rot away. Well, this is a good example of that. That when you are in forgetfulness, when you are broken, when you are away from your Guru, whatever you have diminishes as well. And we have similar Sakhis of Chali Mukte, a very famous Sakhi. Guru nu bedawa deta, when they disassociated themselves from the Guru, they were in pain, not just physical, but mental and spiritual, and those agonies are there. So this Sakhi is a great reminder that having talent is wonderful. We should be thankful for it and not allow those talents to get the worst of us. And so coming back to the slide, the structure of the Bani presents that first, the most work on this has been done by Gyani Sahib Singh. He spent quite detailed work, spent a lot of time detailing the accounts, and I'm going to rely more on him, and you can read the details. He has looked into why the first three he believes are by Balwand, and 4th through 8th are by Satta. So, the point of this is that Satta and Balwand are good examples of great Sikhs. They're great. We should not belittle them because they have been given a space in Guru Granth Sahib. And this is how we should look at actually a development of a Sikh, that we are really not complete, we are not accepted until we really become one with the Guru. Before that we are playing, and part of the playing could be we might fall flat on our face. And the compositions which, the best compositions, I'm going to say best because Guru Arjan Sahib included this. There are other versions of Guru Granth Sahib available which have more bodies than these. One of them is, I saw a reference that in Rawalpindi there was Bhai Bhutta Singh, and he had a handwritten Guru Granth Sahib which has 10 bodies of Satta and Balwand. So my point is Satta and Balwand had more writings too, just like other contributors of Guru Granth Sahib have more writings. But the writings which matter most, I would say the best, the one which is focused on the ideas and the authenticity, is the one included in Guru Granth Sahib. So the best writings available to us are in Ramkali Ki War by these two contributors, and Guru Arjan Sahib deemed them authentic to include this, which are free of all these sakhis. These sakhis are a background to the human and the historical aspects of it. Okay. Couple of comments on the grammar of this. So if you look at this, basically this slide is establishing how the grammar is very similar to the Punjabi grammar. Now Guru Granth Sahib has 7-8 major languages, of which, we'll say common Punjabi or hybridized or spoken Punjabi is about 30% of Guru Granth Sahib. And here are the evidence. Look at the word Nanak here, which is underlined, and Nanak here. The first part, Kakke Sihari and Kakke Sihari, these are similar features. First line is by Guru Arjan Sahib, second is from Satta and Balwand. So point here is that we can look at some samples of Gurbani, what is other gurus writing at the time in Punjabi, and how Satta Balwand are writing. Again, you'll see similar feature here, Sir. Look at the way word Sir is written. And you can read the line, Nanak Raj Chalaya, Sach Kod Satani Neev De. The second one is Lehne Taryon Chat Sir, Kar Sifti Amrit Peev De. So you can sort of understand some of the vocabulary, if not all, but you can see the similar patterns of grammatical structures. And here we are focused on the word, the way Rakhion is written and the way Taryon is written, which is very similar to Guru Amar Das Pasha's writing. Why did we pick Guru Nanak, Guru Amar Das, and Guru Arjan Sahib? Because of all the gurus, majority of the Punjabi writings by the gurus, although these gurus have also written in other styles, but their Punjabi writings are similar to Satta Balwand's writing styles as well. So what's the purpose of this slide? The purpose is to show that if you don't understand, because I had mentioned that Satta and Balwand's writings are like Doom Marasi styles, which is the court poet equivalent of the Pats. But Pats' grammar is different because they were coming from the Sanskrit backgrounds, whereas Marasi's and the Doom style is more Punjabi style. So you don't need to learn special grammar to understand Satta and Balwand. If you understand general Punjabi aspects of Gurbani's grammar, then you can understand Satta and Balwand Bani easily as well. And the last example here is you can look at the way Sajian is written and the way Vakhalian is written. Again, similar ideas, Bihari, onkad at the ending of the verbs, again, Mahalla Tija and Satta and Balwand here. So the point here is that grammar of Satta Balwand's Bani is very similar to the Punjabi elements of Gurbani's grammar. They are not like Patbani, which requires a special grammar. They are more like regular Punjabi aspects of Gurbani. And a couple of other corroborations, because I had invoked Bhai Gurdas earlier, that his wars give corroboration to Bhai Ladda and other things. Well, here are a couple of other things written here. As to the ideas which Satta and Balwand are mentioning are corroborated by Bhai Gurdas. For example, if you look at the symbolism of how Guru Nanak Sahib is described, the word Neo is used by Bhai Gurdas, whereas Satta and Balwand, the word used is Neev. They both mean foundation. The word Raj is used with the Onkar underneath, which means the rule, the ultimate rule, which I know most translations will say spiritual rule, but I don't want to say that. I think it's every kind of rule. And Bhai Gurdas uses that kind of vocabulary too. Raj and Raj, these are similar, and Neo and Neev are similar. Anyway, the other corroboration we have is, look at this. This is almost exactly same style, which shows us language, they say, changes every 25 years and every 25 miles, which means if I am saying, and we are saying that this is at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib, and Bhai Gurdas is at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib, the Bani's features are similar. So these are the kind of things which we can look at to establish, who is at during what time. And again, look at this exact same style right here. The phrase is exactly same. written by Bhai Gurdas and Satta and Balwand. So this point is that it is Punjabi because Wara Bhai Gurdas are Punjabi. It is roughly mid-1500s. It is during at the time of Guru Arjan Sahib. And last point mentioned about even the way Pai Lena becomes the Guru, that Babane Kar Chandan Lena, which means Pai Lena is the one who illumined the house of Guru Nanak, Baba Nanak, and similar thing is mentioned here. Lena is the one who is given the chat. Chat is, we'll discover this in the next couple of slides, is that how he is given the Guruship, essentially I'll interpret here. So point of this slide is that Bhai Gurdas is contemporary of Guru Arjan, is contemporary of Balwand and Satta. The language and the ideas in their compositions corroborate. Okay. I think what I would like to do right now is, if it's okay with all of you, we've been at it for about 50 minutes. We are done with the background of the Bani. Are there any questions related to the background? Because I would like to put a break here. So far we have covered who Satta Balwand are, what are the traditions and Sakhis which explain why they did what they did, what is the grammar of their Banis, how does Bhai Gurdas relate to all this, so that's what we have been covering, the background and the nomenclature. I would like to take a break unless you have a very specific question related to the background aspects right now. Go ahead and ask that. Otherwise, we will take a 5-minute break. Or maybe what we'll do is let's take a 5-minute break right now. It's 11:59. So we'll say it's 12 o'clock. And why don't we resume at 12:05? I would like all of you, when you come back in 5 minutes, to have, if you can, the papers which were sent out to you ready, because we're going to try to read together before we discuss it. If not, I'll have it on the screen. It'll be nice to have it on your paper so you're able to follow it along without changing the screens. Okay? So let's take a 5-minute break. We'll start with your technical questions on the background, and then we'll start and discuss the 3 bodies today. Okay, we're on a 5-minute break. Hello. I'm back, and it's around 12:05. We'll start the second part of the session. Narinderpal, you have any questions lined up, or should I continue?
Vijay, I believe that the attendees want to start because perhaps they want to ask the questions later.
Okay.
Okay.
Alrighty. Then we'll start. So to do that, let's start with the first party. And what I really would like to do is, we don't know if this will work, but we want to try. Jagdeep, can you unmute all? Okay, so what we're going to try to do is, so if everyone who's online, I guess they'll have other things going. What I was thinking was, we can run it like a class and we can actually do the part together, so you learn the pronunciation of each word, because some of the words we are not as familiar with because we're not used to reading this word as commonly. Well, what I'll do is, I'm gonna recite the whole thing, and I'll wait, and if you want to recite without unmuting, I'll just wait similar amount of time after each line, but that might not work. So why don't you just follow along? I think we'll just follow along when I'm reading it. Maybe I can get one other person who's quiet out there who can volunteer, who can repeat after me, and maybe they'll give a sample to everyone about the pronunciation. Narinderpal, are you able to do that?
Yeah, sure. I can do that.
Okay, sounds good. So why don't we do that? So when Narinderpal is reading, guys, you follow along when he's reading, and I'm going to read first. So that way we all get a practice of how this part is done. Okay. Now karta kadar kare.
Now karta kadar kare.
क्यों बोल होवे जोखी वदै
क्यों बोलू होवे जोखी वदै
दे गुना सत भैन भराव है
दे गुना सति भैन भराव है
पारंगति दान पड़ी वदै
पारंगति दान पड़ी वदै
नानक राज चलाया
नानक राज चलाया
सच कोट सतानी नीव दै
सच कोट सतानी नीव दै
लहणे धरियोन छत सिर
लहणे धरियोन छत सिर
कर सिफती अमृत पीव दै
कर सिफती अमृत पीव दै
मत गुर आत्म देव आत्मे दवदी
मत गुर आत्म देव दी.
So I have, let's, Atam Dev, okay. On screen is fine, on my print it wasn't. Mat Gur Atam Dev Di.
Mat Gur Atam Dev Di.
Khadag Jor Para Koye Ji Da.
Khadag Jor Para Koye Ji Da.
Gur Chele Rah Ras Ki.
Gur Chele Rah Ras Ki.
नानक सलामत थी वदै
नानक सलामत थी वदै
सह टिक्का दितोस जी 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 वदै.
Thank you, Narinderpal. That was good. So hopefully you guys got some flavor of it. A couple of pointers here are that if you look at the last words of each line, generally we make a mistake of not pronouncing the a part, and we end up saying a. So that's one of the more common mistakes. So the words are jokhi vada, padi vada, ni vada, pi vada, ji vada, thi vada, ji vada. So the idea is it's a ending. And other common, not so common stuff is that SikhRI endings at the end of the word. So, and the onkars at the end of the words. We generally don't pronounce them, but there are different schools of thought on that. Where we do have a consensus on all schools of thought is we should pronounce wherever as written. My personal understanding is, and we recommend that, is you exactly pronounce the way it's written, because that's the only way you make it not discretionary. Everything else is discretionary. You're following other people. And if you read the way it's written, it's not for scholars. You don't need special training. You just try to read the way it's written. Okay, with that, let's get into the meanings of it. The general theme is written here, but I want to go more into details of these. The first two lines, let me focus a little bit more on, because there are two different schools of thought on that. Rest of the body, pretty much every interpretation I have read agrees that on their meanings. On the first one, actually, the major disagreement is on the word now. There are different schools of thought who believe, one school believes now here means the name, idea, or the identity of Vaheguru, and the other school believes now here means justice idea from the word now. Either way you want to follow is fine with me. What I want to focus on is, what is really this saying? Well, what this is saying is that who really can describe the greatness of Vaheguru? Or the one who's graced by Vaheguru is the one who's able to describe all this. The point is, the greatness of Vaheguru is that only few are able to nobody can parallel other than Vaheguru the greatness of individuals. So if you are great, if you have certain skill sets, if you have fame, you have intellect, you have spirituality, you have wealth, whatever you have is because of the grace of Vaheguru, because nobody else is able to give us that. Kyun bol hova jo khivda means who else can do that for you? Nobody else can do that other than Vaheguru. Now the second part is De guna sat pain prav hai parangat dan padiv de. De here is coming from Da, which means Devi Gun, which means divine attributes. So basically, the divine attributes of things like Sat. Sat is, you can think of Sat as being anything you want, but literal meaning will be truth or truthfulness. So this idea that who really has the divine attributes like truthfulness? Well, he says they're natural to those. Natural meaning pan prav is how it's being interpreted. That they are the divine attribute are like brother and sister to those who are in the service of Vaheguru. So they get this as in dan, which means they get this as a donation to them. So the point is that you don't become great just by your own effort. You become great, you have divine qualities within you because they have been graced, because you have been graced. So anyway, those are the first two lines, and generally this is a style in poetics. You start out with Vaheguru, or the Upma Dinal, in the greatness of Vaheguru, and then you explain who else is great. Well, if you see individuals and personalities in the world who are great, because they are great because of the greatness of Vaheguru, because they feel the grace of Vaheguru. And then they go on to start with Guru Nanak Sahib. And it says, Guru Nanak Raj Chalaya, Sach Kot Satani Neev De. Guru Nanak set up, look at the word Raj, the way it's written. And different people in parentheses will explain that it means religious rule or spiritual rule. And they will put the word religious and spirituality and other things like that in the parentheses. My take is, if Satta Balwand, the court poets wanted to write that, they could have written the word before Raj. They could have used any of those nouns or adjectives to describe it. So I really don't like it when people say this is only referring to spirituality. Why? I think if you look at all the symbolism, and we'll cover that, it's referring to everything. The Raj, Jajje Thalle Onkad Aa Gaya, which means it's the dominion. It's the establishment of what? The Guru Nanak established this kingdom on the foundations of truth. Such Kon, and so that the fort of truth was set up on these foundations, and this is how he established his kingdom. Now, if you want to use a very political vocabulary, then it will become Guru Nanak established his empire based on truth, and this was the kind of fort which protected his kingdom or his empire. Either way you want to look at it, the point here is that Guru Nanak started something new. Chalaya means to start and carry on. This is a very clear-cut indication of the third way, or as Bhai Gurdas calls it, Tisar Panth. The third alternative was given to the world. There is the Aryan and the Semitic alternatives were available to the world, and Guru Nanak comes and provides the third one, which is based on the foundations of truth, and fort is there to protect this idea and this empire. And what else happened? Lehne taryon chat sir, kar sifti amrit peevde. And it was carried on. It wasn't a one-time event. It wasn't just for Guru Nanak. He found the suitable match in Lehna, in Bhai Lehna ji, chat sir, and he was given the canopy, and you guys can read the literal meanings next to it. But basically, Lehna was given the authority to carry this onwards, carry this forward. Kar sifti amrit peevde. Now, what does that mean? Kar sifti amrit peevde is simply, amrit, literally, mrit is dead. Amrit makes it immortal. So, Lehna is enjoying. What is he enjoying? Guru Nanak gave the authority to Lehna, and he's also enjoying the immortality, which basically means the divine praise. Sifti kidi ho rahi hai, Rabb di sifti ho rahi hai, is gal nu agge torya ja raha, te agge gal toran lai Guru Nanak Sahib ne, Guru Angad Sahib nu authority deti hai. So, ਕਹਿਣ ਦਾ ਭਾਵ ਹੈ that this is an ever-continuous process which has started by Guru Nanak, and it is second person who is carrying this forward is Guru Angad Sahib. The next part of this is Mat Gur Atam Devdi Khadag Jor Parakoi Ji De. Now, huge symbolism comes here, the word Khadag. And I know when we talk about Kirpan, which is what literal meaning of Khadag is, or when we talk about Khanda, when we talk about any weaponry, for example, the images we usually have in our mind are of Guru Hargobind Patsha or Guru Gobind Singh Patsha, generally. Well, here it's very clear that even when the transfer of power is occurring, transfer of leadership is occurring, the transfer is of what? The symbolism used to transfer that is sword. And, I relate this to the world history phenomena as well. Generally, I mention if you look at pontification, like when the new pope is established, one of the first things he gets after the smoke stops is a sword. That's a transfer of power. That's a transfer of authority. And Guru Nanak's authority is not just a worldly or a political authority. So look at the way Khadag is being used here. That not only is this Khadag political, but this is also of wisdom. Mat Gur Atam Devdi. The wisdom of the world which is beyond politics, which here we will say spirituality. Odi Khadag Jor Parakai Ji De. And so this wisdom, the sword, was transferred to Guru Angad Sahib. Powerful symbolism of sword is being used to show wisdom here. Gur Chille Rehras Ki Nanak Salamat Thivde Sahib Tikka Ditos Jeevde. So Guruship, the leadership is being transferred while Guru Nanak is alive. Guru Nanak is sending the Sikhs a signal, sending the followers a signal that the next after me are not my sons, but the spiritual descendant, this political descendant, the one who carries my sword onwards, the one who carries my wisdom onwards. He is the next leader. And he did it Salamat Thivde, which means what? That he's there, he's doing it while he's present, alive, so there is no dispute afterwards who is carrying forth the torch of Guru Nanak's ideas, who is the owner of Guru Nanak's house. Sah Tikka Ditos Jeevde, and this is the Tikka. Tikka, you can look at it as being, Tikka is not just that there is a mark on your forehead. It's a bigger symbolism in South Asian traditions is that the one who gets the Tikka is the one who carries forth, has the authority. So this is how it's being, we need to look at that the next one who is being given the Guruship is the one who's named Lena, Bhai Lena ji, Guru Angad Sahib. So, what are some of the ideas in this? Well, the power in this world is established by two systems. And without getting into the Latin, because I don't understand those words and the phrases in Latin, but I know their meanings. One is that you either have the divine right, which is through the church, or so basically the church has to say you have the right to rule, and the other is by descendancy, that you have to be a descendant of a ruler. And this is established in the Western world as well as the Asian world, the Eastern world. So Guru Nanak Sahib here is, and this war is saying, Satta Balwant Sahib, that the Guru Nanak Sahib is blessed by the divine authority to rule as well. Because this question comes up quite a bit. Who has the authority to rule? And this question was asked by the British. Sir David Ochterlony sent Captain Murray to Punjab in 1830s to find out who the hell gave the authority to Sikhs to rule in Punjab. Because it's a foreign idea for people. The only rulers are the ones who either the church establishes them or the descendants, that you have to be your forefather, your father, somebody in your family has to have that right to rule. So this question was there 100 years ago. This question is there now. This question was there at the time of Guru Nanak and Guru Arjan. And we see this repeatedly in Gurbani, that authority for the Sikhs, whether it was Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj or whether it's Guru Nanak Sahib, authority is a divine authority, which means that we don't need an earthly power to establish whether we have this sovereignty or not. It's given to us by the divine. And this really flows in line with what Gurbani's theme is everywhere, that every single individual in this world is divine. This is why none of us can accept slavery of any kind. This is a divine right to be sovereign. Anyway, I'm interpreting that, and that's the second part, that Guru Nanak Sahib established the sovereignty of truth. His foundation to establish his kingdom was truth. I know it sounds cliches, and other religions use that too, but the idea is, what did he set up on this truth? And if you remember the line previously, the word was court. Court literally means fort. Fort's only purpose is protection. This is why forts are built. There is an idea, there is an entity, there is a family, there is people, whatever you have something to protect. This is why fort is there. Satta Balwant's vocabulary is so powerful, and Balwant in this case is saying, this is why Guru Nanak is protecting, the foundation is of truth, and to protect that, there is a fort built, and that fort is to establish this sovereign idea. And he bestowed life full of divine wisdom to Guru Angad Sahib, and a disciple who submits fully can become one with the master, which means what? That Guru Angad, what was his qualification to get this authority from Guru Nanak? He was not his son, which is how it was done before and is done now in most monarchical systems as well, or religious or political systems. Guru Bhai Lena is also not does not have a divine right from one of the churches at the time. So this idea which Guru Nanak is we apply to Guru Nanak is equally applicable to Guru Angad Sahib. So Guru Angad also has this authority to carry onwards, because Guru Nanak Sahib is the one who gave him that authority. And he has it independently also. How does he have it independently? Because he also is not a descendant of a ruler, and he also does not have a sacred hand of a church telling him that he can rule. So this is a very, very powerful principle in SikhRI, that the leader and servant become one. The leadership is temporary. Authority is temporary. And any one of us, just like any one individual at the time, was ready, and can explore their potential to lead, similarly all of us can. So this idea of servant leadership is born from day one in the house of Guru Nanak. Some of the applications there which we can apply, think about today is that how did Guru Nanak had so much confrontation at the time and Guru Angad got this sovereignty or this authority? How did he do it? He was quite creative with these things. He set up a new city for him, and we'll cover that in the next couple of hours. And then also, what really qualified Guru Angad to leave, Bhai Lehna to leave? It was this idea of Shabad's command. He followed the Shabad. Shabad is the wisdom. He did not follow the way of the world. He did not follow the cultural norms. He did not follow the conventional wisdom. He followed wisdom, not just conventional wisdom. Conventional wisdom is marred by our own lenses and preferences and the regional realities of the time. So for us to think about is, how can we be creative in asserting in our own sovereignty, and what is it that really we should be following? The only thing to follow is Shabad. I'm going to move on to second stanza, which is a longer stanza. We did the exercise of the first part. I'm going to skip that this time and just talk about each line. And now comes the details on Guru Angad Sahib. Lehne di feraiye Nanak ka dohi khattiye, jot oha jugat sai, sahkaya phir paltiye. I want to focus on this. If nothing else you gather, this is the line. This is what establishes for us how that every guru is exactly same. Every guru is exactly same. Jot oha, jugat sai. This word jot means wisdom. Jugat means methodology. Jot was the same, and so was the methodology, which means the idea was exactly same, and so was the implementation plan. None of the gurus violated each other's principles or systems. They built on each idea, and they furthered the idea. So wisdom remained same. Wisdom remained same, which is what this word is. Oh, I'm not able to use this again. So this is saying wisdom remained same. Okay, you guys can. I'm having technical difficulty to use this now. There you go. So the wisdom remained exactly same. Methodology remained same. Only thing which changed was the body. And this is something what we need to understand about each guru. Here the example used is that the body of Lehna became the body of Guru Nanak. Dohi khatti hai. The greatness was earned by Lehna because he brought on the same wisdom, he carried on the same methodologies, only the body was different. This is what made Guru Angad great. And this is what established him as the true ruler on the throne. Chulle so chat niranjani mal takht baitha gurhatti hai. Takht is a throne. Who is sitting at the throne? Mal takht baitha. Takht is the throne. Chulle so chat niranjani. Basically, these are symbolisms of, if you look at in the east or in the west, what is done to sovereign people, there is a whisk on top of them, there is an attendant, there is a canopy, and there is a throne. Guru Angad is sitting on this throne. Why is he sitting on this throne? Because he followed exactly what Guru said. Karhe je gur farmaya mil jog aluni chatti hai. It was a very hard thing to do. It was a very tasteless thing. Aluni is tasteless, implying that it is very hard to follow verbatim. Guru Angad followed whatever Guru Nanak said. Karhe je gur farmaya. In order to have the union, jog is the union. Jog is not yoga. Jog is not Vikram yoga or Hatha yoga or whatever else is being practiced these days. Jog literally means union, coming together. The coming together of Guru Nanak and Guru Angad happened because he was a good follower. And this is where a phrase is like, you have to be a great follower to become a good leader or a great leader. That's where they're coming from. This is what Gurbani is saying. Next part of the line is saying, Langar challe gur sabad har tot na avi khatti hai. What was distributed uninterruptedly? Langar today we understand as being something physically to consume. Langar challe gur sabad. The first langar which should be there continuously is of wisdom. And this is very, very important because we all know the tradition of langar among Sikhs. And we proudly talk about it, that how you can go to any gurdwara and have any time and be served unlimited amount of food for anyone. But what's more important for Sikhs is what you serve, how will you learn? Who are you serving? Unless you have the wisdom. And this is why the first time the word langar appears in the vocabulary of Guru Granth Sahib, it appears right here, where you're looking at it right now. It appears, langar challa gur sabad. Shabad de langar chal rahe hain. The wisdom de langar. There needs to be a lot of time and energy which needs to be spent by everyone who calls himself or herself a Sikh on this part. Because this is what Guru Angad Sahib did. This is what Pailana did. There's uninterrupted supply of wisdom. Kharcha dit khasamdi aap khaidi khair dabatiya hove sift khasamdi nur arsoho kursoho chattiya. This is a very famous line. Maybe some of you have heard it when some people are taking hukum from Guru Granth Sahib. The background of this line is right there in front of you. That how does someone become popular throughout the world? Hove sift khasamdi nur arsoho, in the skies, kursoho, in the divine realms, chattiya is coming down, which means that the greatness is known throughout the world of those who are following the divine wisdom. I'm going to continue on to the next page. Tur dithe sache Padshah mal janam janam di kattiye. By seeing you, we get rid of our filth. We get rid of our shortcomings. Again, these lines are repeated, but we don't understand what they're really saying to us. Maybe the next two lines will help more. Because some of us feel that we are great Sikhs. Isn't it enough to be just Sikh and call yourself a Sikh and maybe even take Amrit, maybe keep long hair? These are protocols of the religion. Maybe I'm born in a Sikh family and it's good enough. These are the kind of questions we go through. Well, next two lines actually talk about that in a different way, but I'm going to interpret it the way, well, let's read them. Sach je gur farmaya, yu edu bolno hatti hai, putri kolna palyo, kar piro kand muratti hai. What he's saying is, if you don't do what Guru says, it doesn't matter whether you're born in the house of the Guru or not. And the examples used here are of Guru Nanak's, like physical, biological example. Guru Nanak's sons did not listen to what he said. They, in fact, completely disagreed with him. Piro ho kand muratti hai. Ki matlab hai eda? They completely turned away from the Guru. Did Guru Nanak get upset at them? No. This is about what you want to follow. Guru Nanak didn't say my sons are worthless or not good because they're not following the Sikh way. Basically what's being said here is, if you feel that you are born in the house of the Guru, because Guru Nanak's sons felt that they were born in Guru Nanak's house, that's his father, then now they have a right to become the Guru. That was not acceptable. Similarly, Putri Kolna Payo, just because we are born in Sikh household does not make us that we are more divine or less divine, or we are chosen and more somehow more religious. All that becomes nonsensical. Why? Sach je gur farmaya. We gotta follow what the Guru says. Guru does not say become a Sikh. We say this. Guru says follow the wisdom. Obviously that means becoming a Sikh is part of it. But a lot of us are born as a Sikh. A lot of us start looking like a Sikh, but we don't bring the wisdom of Sikhi in it, and that's part of the problem. So it's not enough to follow the protocols and the identity of a physical sense. What is most important is following what Guru says. Otherwise, just like Guru Nanak's sons, although they were born in his house, did not follow what Guru said. They wanted to, and they wanted to claim authority of Guru Nanak within their lives. They were not allowed to. Dil khote aaki firan, ban pahar uchayan chhattiya. Jin aaki soi kare, jin kiti tena thattiya, kaun hare, kin uvattiya. So basically, I'm rushing through now because I'm noticing time is passing by quickly. But what is going on here? Well, the last lines are saying that whatever Guru has ordered, right? Whatever Guru has said, in this case, Guru Nanak Sahib ordered something, and if you don't follow that, like his sons, Putra ne bachan nahi manaya, o Guru kolo kan morde pit rahe hain, which means Putri kolna palyo kar piro kan muratiya. Next part is Dil khote aki firan. Aki is, it says rebel there, but basically if there is not a greatness in the heart, if you don't feel things and you just being a rebel without a cause, if I may call it, because khote dil karan, khote dil, I don't know what is a good English of that, but basically saying internally you know what's need to do, but you are just cooking up reasons and being rebellious just for sake of being rebellious. Jin aakhi soi kare, jin kiti tine 30 hai. But those who follow the system, raza mande ne, jin aakhi soi kare, whoever follows the system of Guru Nanak, they understand that this is how you get the authority and this is how you get the credibility. 30 means installed. And again, example of Guru Angad Sahib is used. So basically what's happening in this body is, there are two major plays going on. One is, first part, if I go back to the slide before, it says the authority of Guru Angad is established because there was exact same wisdom and exact same methodology he was using. Secondly, he used Gur Shabad to establish everything for himself. This is how he became known in the world. And the biological family, biologically being in some place which is a circumstance or a biological accident, does not establish your authority. What establishes is following by submitting to the Guru's idea. Okay, so what are the major principles in here? Sikh is the one who follows the command of the Guru. Sikh is not the one who says, yeah, I believe in Guru, but does whatever he or she wants. All the Guru personalities were exactly same, not just in spirit, but also in practice. And nothing in this world changes without the divine will, and those were the lines about Narasho Kurso Chutiya, that you become known due to the divine will, and the authority of Guru Nanak exists because of the divine will. Guru personality, which means the Guru as a physical body. Why do we salute Guru Nanak, Guru Angad and the other Gurus? Because for the period they were Gurus, they were perfection, they were the treasure house of divine attributes, and because they were the treasure house, they're distributing the divinity to everyone inclusively. They don't make it exclusive, that it is only for my tribe, that it is only for my people. They say it is for everyone who wants to follow wisdom. So what can be interpreted as an application from here? A couple of things. One is we really need to work on understanding Guru in totality. What do I mean by that? We don't need to think of Guru Nanak one way, Guru Angad the other way, Guru Gobind Singh the other way, Guru Arjan the other way. They are complete Gurus. Guru in Sikhi is perfection, infallibility. And that infallibility can only be seen if we do not box the Gurus with our own paradigms and frames. And secondly, if you really are looking for solutions in life, you don't need physical entities to tell you what to do. Don't get enslaved mentally and spiritually by people. All you need is wisdom. So become thoughtful and aware individual. Ask Guru to make you more thoughtful. That's the answer. Let me cover the third one. The third body here again builds on this idea of submission, which is huge in Sikhi. I'm sure, and I'm gonna go quickly over it and cover a couple of lines which are more important. First, the whole Shabad is important, but the idea of submission is coming throughout the thing. That what is the number one thing a Sikh needs to do in order to feel the Guru or the divine presence? So, Jin kiti so mandana, ko saal jivahe sali, karam raye hai devta, la gala kare dalali, sadgur aakhe sacha kare, sa baat hove darhali, Guru Angadi dohi sifri, sach karta band bahali, Nanak kaya paltkar, mal takht baitha sar dali. Dar seve ummat khadi, maskala hoye jangali, dar darvesh khasam da, nae sache bani lali, balwand khivi nek jan, jis bahti chhao patrali, langar daulat wandi hai, ras amrit kheer ke ali, gursikha ke mukh ujle, मनमुख थिए पराली पए कबूल खसम नाल जहाँ काल मर्दी काली माता खीवी सोह होए सोए जिन गोए उठाली. a couple of things going on here. Once it's established that Guru Arjan is the one who believed in the submission, so first part is establishing Guru Nanak's divine authority, first party. Second party is establishing the transfer of that authority to Guru Angad. And third is saying that Guru Angad, and look at who is brought in here. Let's focus on two ideas. Let me focus right here, Langar, the idea. So this Kaya Palt we have already done, right? Because of submission, the body of Guru Nanak became the body of Guru Angad, and Guru Angad has the authority to sit on the throne. Takht is the throne. Because he's sitting on the throne, and because the first Langar is already going, Khivi is a name here, name of a Sikh woman. The only name which comes in Gurbani as a historical entity in praise outside of the Gurus. Now this is very, very important. This establishes that it's not just a single thing for us as a declaration that women are equal or women should be, this question of whether women should even be involved in certain affairs of the community. Look at right after the establishment of the authority, Mata Khivi is mentioned as being the one who is distributing the physical langar. Now this has lots of interpretation available to us, implications I should say. First being, what is the first action you do for people? Are you going to tell people who don't have anything to eat, don't have this idea of social justice, there is no economic stratification to bring equality among people? How can you ask any of them to develop themselves religiously? So the first thing mentioned here, and Mata Khivi is in charge of that she is distributing daulat. Vandana is distribute. Daulat is wealth. Ras Amrit Kheer ke Ali, that not only is it flavors of immortality, but physical things like kheer, kyo wali kheer. So, sometimes we get worked up that how come langars are sometimes quite good and elaborate. Well, in Guru Granth Sahib it says Mata Khivi used to make kheer with butter, purified butter, and distribute it to people. And this is a time, I know kyo in a U.S. sitting in America, we have a different perception of kyo because we are having heart attacks, we don't know how to burn it. But you go back in India even now, people can't afford to, 67% of the Indian population lives below poverty line. They don't have access to kyo, purified butter. And you have 500 years ago, 400 years ago, a kheer being made of kyo and distributed to people, a commoner at large. So langars can be elaborate if you can afford to make them elaborate, but make sure the ones we are feeding them are available to people who need them, not the ones like me who are getting more fat and fatty acids and becoming more fat. Anyway, coming back to this, the Guru in the house of Guru Nanak, Guru Angad's partner is Mata Khivi, and she is in charge, she is in the leadership role on how to take care of physical sustenance of people. This is huge. The only person mentioned by name in Guru Granth Sahib outside of the Gurus and being built by by Balwand here. The other part I want to focus on is, well, I think I'll just leave it at that. I'm looking at the time, it's 12:45. So two things, you guys can study this. If you have more questions, you can ask me more about it, send me an email. But the point here is Guru Angad Sahib gets the authority because he's submitted to Guru Nanak unconditionally, and as soon as he has the authority, because he himself has gotten this wisdom, the Shabad Guru's Langar, the Langar Guru Angad starts through Mata Khivi is the idea of Langar, look at it, is what? That you make it elaborate for those who need it, and we'll focus on that for now. Okay. So what are the principles? Submission is a requirement for Guruship. Service is very, very important. The idea of seva. Everyone in front of the Guru is a beggar. So this idea of beggar is not literally a beggar. The idea is that I'm not at the mercy of someone, but in front of God, in front of the divine force, we are all beggars. Some of us might be begging for health. Others might be begging for relationships. Others might be begging for intellect. we are all beggars. So just because I happen to have a little bit more money or intellect doesn't mean I have everything else. We are all beggars. At the end of the day, we are all looking for something. And Guru is here to provide not just the material, take care of the material needs of people through, but also the spiritual needs. So I guess first application is when you need something, ask the Guru. Why do we need to ask other people? This is where this applies especially to the Punjabi, Indian, and South Asian psyche, that we generally think that things will be taken care by some spiritual interceptor, or what we call sants and babas, or something like that. And the other thing is, the only way to really become successful in this world is not again following the conventional wisdom, not again playing the games, not getting, passing or cutting corners. The way to do it is you walk on the Guru's word. And the Guru's word here is Guru's wisdom again, what Gurbani says. I'll quickly want to cover the symbolisms in these last three bodies. First part is idea of sovereignty. The Nanak did establish a sovereign rule. And this is corroborated in other places in Guru Granth Sahib, where it says that it was God himself or herself who gave this guruship to Guru Arjan Sahib. And this Raj, look at the way Raj is written, is given to Guru Arjan to carry onwards. So this idea of Raj, which we go away from quite a bit, and in discussions we need to focus on it, that Guru Nanak did establish a third alternative in this world. Third alternative here means alternative to the Semitic and Aryan civilizations and culture. And the Sikh psyche has accepted this. This is why Akal Takht was constructed at some point, which was to counter what the throne of Delhi was doing. This is why even the way we teach Guru Granth Sahib, with a canopy over it, the whisk, is showing that, and we use the term Sacha Badshah, which means it is the true king, the true emperor. Badshah actually is an emperor. The whole battle which Guru Hargobind Padshah has with Shah Jahan establishes this, that if you don't protect people's right unless you're representing people. This is Guru Hargobind Padshah's battle. Imperial forces versus people who, to establish people's right, they went over war. And then Hawk, the symbolism of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj and Guru Nanak Sahib and every Gurus are showing that we are not just about spirituality, we are also about being active in political domain as well. Second thing, again, I'm going to focus quickly on is the word sword. Sword is used to describe wisdom as well as a weapon, but primarily, the starting point, not primarily, initially it is used as a wisdom, sharpness of wisdom. And this is corroborated in other places in Guru Granth Sahib, where it says, Satguru is the one who gives us the Gyan Khadag. Sadguru is the one who gives us the enlightenment of sword. And you will notice this is why. We are not worshipper of sword. We are not going to worship weapons, but we do believe weapons have great symbolisms within them. And this is why Sikh psyche has brought the idea of sword in every major ceremony we have. Kirpan has become one of the kakars, not has become. By the time of Guru Gobind Singh, it became a kakar. Khanda is great part of our emblems, our identity, our collective identity, as well as during Amrit ceremony. It is what is used to stir. Again, you're doing Bani, the langar of Shabad, and the way you're bringing the idea of Khanda is you're stirring the patasha and the water with it. And Kirpan, Peta ceremony in the Kada Prasad, is again symbolic of bringing the divine grace into whatever we partake to accept the hukum of the Guru. Again, the Shabad and the langar of Shabad and the langar of physical sustenance is brought together. So sword and sovereignty are very, very powerful symbols, and they're much more than symbols, but at minimum they're used as symbols to describe a particular idea. In Satta Balwan's War, and the corroborations are shown throughout the Guru Granth Sahib on this. So quickly, I'm almost done. We have about 10 minutes for question and answer. Please start sending them while I go over the summary slide. So the major learnings are Guru Nanak is the one who started the alternative lifestyle, and he did it by creative ways. His way of establishing his thought process, his fort, his empire was not by the rule of sword. He did it by much more creatively. He won the hearts of people while he became politically active, while he established new cities. So he's not doing it by killing people and by making land domains. He's doing it by creating a larger domain and larger dominion. Second is all Guru personalities are same, both in idea as well as in practice, in spirit as well as in wisdom. And this is the action we should have is we need to stop stereotyping each Guru. Get rid of these pictures. They don't do any service to us. Guru is perfection for the time they are Guru. We need to stop thinking of Gurus as being spiritual masters or political activists or city builders. They're all of it. Everything, the things we can't even imagine they were doing. And we just need to figure out and create more awareness about it. Guru is the one who has divine wisdom. He has the authority from God directly. He does not need the church or the other hereditary systems to give that to him. So we should do the same. Why do we need a particular Gurdwara to tell us, or a Jathedar to tell us, or a Sant to tell us what to do? We should work on that direct authority by having a great relationship with the Guru or the divine force, which is Vaheguru. Submission is what brings us the awareness of divine attributes. Basically, you can feel divinity in your life if you submit to that there's a higher force